Welcome to Chisholm Trail 61. You know, I was starting to do some canning the other day, and I thought about there's probably some beginners out here who would really like to get into canning, but just really don't know what they need to get started. Well, I'm going to show you that coming up right now. Now, the first thing you'll need, pretty much every household has one, is just a ladle or something you can ladle your product over into your jars with. Uh, you'll need a funnel. Now, I like this funnel here. You can order it off of Amazon. It's pretty reasonable, cheap. It has the head space measurements on the side so that when it sets down over the jar, you can actually tell when you get to 1 inch, ½ inch head space, whatever you need. Lid lifter. This will lift your lids for you so you don't have to touch them with your hands. It's just a little magnet. You can order this kit. Get these kits. This is a debubbler. You'll need to debubble your jars whenever you're doing this. And we're going to do a canning video here shortly. It'll be out within the next few days to a week. And you'll see how I use each of these tools. This also has a head space measurement on it so that you can measure the head space on your jar from a 1 inch to up to a 1/4 inch. Now the head space is going to be from the top of where your food product is to the top rim of the jar. You'll need a jar lifter because I guarantee you're not going to be able to lift your jars out of the counter as hot as they get by hand. This is probably the most single important tool that you'll need when you go to canning. Another thing you're going to need is get you some canning books. Ball canning books is really good. This is a ball book preserving. It has some jams, jellies, different recipes in it. All these recipes in your ball books and stuff has been tested and approved that they're safe for canning. One of my favorite canning books is the Amish canning book. This lady here, Georgia Overeza, she is a master canner. All of her recipes in here has been approved. And this book here is right to the T. If it tells you it'll make 7 quarts of food, you can just about bank on when you get the last drop of your stuff in the jar, you've got 7 quarts. I mean, I had never seen a canning book with accurate measurements as much as this one right here does. Another one is the all-new Book of Canning by Ball. This has everything from Sloppy Joe mix to barbecue, jams, jellies, you name it, it's in this book here. This is probably one of the most informative books there are out there. And it's pretty reasonable. You can pick it up off of Amazon and other places too. Now we're going to take a look at some jars and canners. Okay, there's basically, you have 4 sizes of canning jars, different sizes, and you have 2 different mouths on the canning jars. You have from your smallest to your biggest, and basically your canning is going to be the ½ pint jars, which you can do jams and jellies and things in, is what I do in them. As a matter of fact, this is some apple jelly that I did back in October of last year. Then you have your pint-sized jar. Now this pint-sized jar is going to be basically the same size as if you go to the grocery store and buy a can of canned food. This is just a regular pint jar. You're going to get about the same that you would if you bought a can of food in the store. Then you have your pint-and-a-half jars. Pint-and-a-half jars, it's just a little bit bigger. Probably, if there's like 3 people wanting to eat, then a pint-and-a-half is ideal. I like to use pint-and-a-half for meats and things like that. It just works out real good. The largest is your quart size. Now, quart size, can feed, it's like 2 cans of food. So, 4 people can eat out of a quart easy. And I was talking about the different size openings on mouths, they're called. The small or regular size is you want to use for small things, meats, stuff you use larger chunks for, things that, it'll be a little hard to get out of the jar. It's better to use a wide mouth because the wide mouth allows the food to come out a whole lot easier. It doesn't have the shoulder on it, as you can see that the regular mouth does. Now, there's this little thing I was talking about a while ago, and the head space. I'm going to show you right here. This reads 1 inch, 3/4 inch, ½ inch, and down to a 1/4 inch. And so if your food comes up, if that, you set that first notch on there and the food is just barely touching the bottom of the stick there, then that would be a 1-inch headspace all the way up to, like most of your jams and jellies have either a 1/4 or a 1/2 inch headspace, one of those. So you don't have to have a whole lot of headspace on jams and jellies. You also use this for debubbling. Once you get your food in there, you run this around your jar real good and get all the air, as much air out of it as you can before you ever put your lid on it and seal it up, and process it in the canning. Now, there's really 2 different types of canning that you can do. Water bath canning, you don't have to have a pressure canner for it, just regular water bath canning, and I'm going to show you what I use for a water bath canner there in just a minute. You do your jams, jellies, most of your fruits, like peaches. That's some peach jelly I did, and like I said, the apple jelly. Water bath canning, real simple, real easy. Nothing, you don't have to really have any special canner for it. Anything that is high acid, you can pretty much water bath can. Now you get into your low acid foods such as meat. This is chicken breast that I canned back in July of 21. You get into your meats, your beans, soups, like this chili con carne. You get into it. You got to have a pressure canner for it because it's just not high enough acid to keep it safe while it's sitting on the shelf. But anyway, I'm going to grab some canners and I'm going to bring them over here and show you what they look like and go over some of them and some of the safety features on them. The first thing we're going to talk about is going to be the water bath canner. Now, I told you, you really don't need anything special for a water bath canner. This is actually a 21-quart stock pot that I bought at Walmart. It's just a regular stock pot. It's nothing special about it. Only thing you have to have when you're water bath canning, you just got to make sure you got a rack to put down in the bottom of them, your thing, so your jars can sit on top of to keep them off the bottom of your pot. Because if you just set it down on the bottom of your pot, they're going to get too hot on the bottom and it's going to bust them. So you set your rack in there, you put your water in there, and you set jars on. Now, when you're water bath canning, you need to cover your jars by 1 to 2 inches of water. So if your pot is tall enough for you to set your jar in and then fill it full of water to 1 to 2 inches, then you're fine. That pot will work fine. You don't need a special canner or anything like that. As you can see, this actually has the glass lid, and I've been using it for 2 or 3 years now. I mean, without any problem at all. So just a regular pot. If you got one at your home already, then you're ready to go water bath canning. Just get you a rack. You can buy the metal racks. You can buy the little rubber mats, whatever, at Walmart. A little bit of nothing. So we'll get more into that. Like I said, when I do a water bath canning video, I need to make some jelly and stuff, and we'll go over the step-by-step instruction on how to do that then. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is pressure canners. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, pressure canners cost a little bit more money. This is a 16-quart. Notice this got the weighted gauge on it. This is a 23-quart. It has the dial gauge on it. Now, on the weighted gauge, you have little rings. Each ring signifies 5 pounds of pressure. By itself like that, that's 5 pounds. You put 1 ring on, 10 pounds. 1 ring on, 15. And why that's important is because depending on your elevation, as to how much pressure you're going to need to can your food. Same with water bath canning, your elevation determines how long you can water bath can. With pressure canning, it determines the amount of pressure you need to can it. So you get the pressure. This is 16-quart, like I said. It'll hold 9 pint jars. It'll hold 7 quarts. So in the regular 16, this is a Presto. It's the one. There's 2 major brands of canners in the United States right now, and that's Presto and All American. All American, you can get into $500-600 in a hurry with All American. This canner right here nowadays you could buy it for about $70 nowadays. It's probably close to $90 to $100, but it's really, it pays for itself quick, because when you go to the store and you pay a dollar or $2 for a can of food, and you can do it yourself for about 60 to 80 cents per jar in a pint, then it doesn't take long to make up that money for your canner. Now, just like with the water bath canner, you have to have the rack, but now your pressure canners come with a rack in them. So you don't have to buy a special rack, an extra rack for your canners, unless you get the 23 quart and it doesn't have but just one rack. Now I'm going to set this back and get this 23 quart up here so we can talk about it some. This is my favorite canner here, the 23 quart. It's a Presto, and it, like I said, right now you can buy them for around $150 to $200, the Presto. It has the dial gauge, determining on your elevation. You just heat it up till the gauge comes up to the amount of pressure. And like I said, I'm going to be using this canner right here when I do my next canning video. And I'll explain to you and show you what I'm talking about. It gets that amount of pressure, then you can let off. Now, there's some steps we're not going to go through right now, because this is not a how-to video on canning. But I'll show you how to get to that, and how to, you need to adjust your heat under it and stuff and maintain the pressure. Now, these canners have safety features on them. The water bath canner, like I said, it doesn't build any pressure, so you don't have to worry about it. The pressure canners, you have the gauge, you have the little lock that pops up and locks on the lip in the canner to keep the lid from coming off. It has the ridges that lock into place all the way around on it. It seals with a rubber gasket. Now, the rubber gasket, you'll need oil. Just wipe some vegetable oil on every 2 or 3 times you use it. Not a big deal. It also has this little rubber stopper here in the back of it. What that's for, when you build that pressure, it'll swell up a little bit, but that's nothing to worry about. But if it gets too much pressure in it, and there's any danger at all, that little rubber stopper will blow out, and it'll release the pressure out that hole. The canner's not going to come apart. So that's the biggest thing. I'm going to tell you, I bought a canner, my first canner. I bought, and it probably sat on the shelf 5 or 6 months in the pantry before I ever got enough courage to use it. Because I wasn't sure about doing it. But really, there's nothing to fear. These things are safe. As long as you follow USDA guidelines, and stuff, then use approved canning recipes, then your food is going to be safe. I have food that I've canned 1.5 years, 2 years ago on the shelf that we're eating now. It's really safe. As long as your food is sealed good, then you don't have to worry about it. But that's pretty much this. I want to mention this. This is not a gauge. This is just a weight. It goes over the spout to what holds the steam in. Because when you're pressure canning, it's not the water. You put water in your pot, in your canner. But that's not what actually cans the food. It's the steam. You let this thing vent steam out till, for like 10 minutes after you get a good, hard, steady steam coming out. And then you put your weight on. Well, that locks that steam in there. And that steam is what allows that canner to get hot enough to build up pressure to can your food, to actually get all the air out of your jars and seal them where they're safe, where they don't have to be refrigerated or anything. You can buy meats and things when you catch them on sale, stock up on them, pressure can them, put them on the shelf. They're ready to go. They're going to cook while they're being pressure canned. Now, you can raw pack meat. You can parboil meat. Personally, I prefer to cook my meat just a little bit before I put it in, because it just looks better to me. I mean, some people it doesn't bother, but pressure canning is really safe, though. It's nothing that you need to really worry about as far as the canner blowing apart or anything. See, this canner lid will spin and it locks into place. It's not coming off of there. It has, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 locks all the way around it, plus this lock that locks into place when they're locked in. So, but anyway, I think that pretty well covers it. If you got any questions about it, or anything we've discussed today, or anything like that, then just leave them in the comments. I try to answer all the questions. And if you'd like to see something special in the canning, like can a special product, or whether it be a soup or meat. Now, there is certain things that you can't can, like dairy products. You can't can milk, eggs, or you can't put any thickener in where you're canning. Now, they make a Sure Gel that you can use in pie fillings that'll thicken your pie filling up. It's approved for canning. They make Clear Gel that you can use in certain things that is approved for canning. But other than that, that's only two thickeners you can use in canning. You can't use starch, flour, anything like that in your canning, because it's just not safe to do, because the heat has to get all the way through your food in the jars, and it has to reach that temperature to kill any bacteria in it, and then get all the air out so bacteria cannot grow back in it. That's basically what pressure canning does, and why it's safe. You can put it on the shelf. Electricity goes out, it's no big deal. It's not going to spoil. You don't even need electricity, and come in late and you forgot to take something out for supper, you can grab a jar off the shelf, put it on, warm it up. You got meal right there ready to go. So, but anyway, I hope this helps. And like I said, if you got any questions or anything, then feel free to ask. If it's something you'd like to see us can, just leave that in the comments. We'll try to get to all of it. But if you would, like the video for us, share, subscribe to our channel. It really helps us a lot. We appreciate all of you that's done that, all of you that's going to do it in the future. It means a lot to us. So that'll pretty well wrap it up for today. Like I said, I hope this helps some of you. The biggest thing, just don't be afraid to try it. Just get out there and try it. Once you do it a couple times, it's a system. It's a process. You follow step by step, and I'm gonna, like I said, show you that process in the video. But once you get that process down, it's really real simple. It's fun to do, and the biggest thing, it'll save you money. That's all for now. Like, subscribe, share. Give us a big thumbs up. Appreciate it. We'll see y'all on the next one.